that when I prayed about manifesting my husband last year, God was like, when I wrote my list, God was like, okay, now write the list of who you need to be as the woman to attract this man. And I was like, oh, okay. And so part of my list really came from this Proverbs 31 instruction about who I needed to be as a woman. The interesting thing about this is that you don't have to be a believer to understand that this is valuable to take into your relationship, okay? This is valuable for us to say, oh, wow, this is the kind of woman that we want to be. And even if you're not that woman right now, it's not too late to become that woman and to start putting practices in place to be that woman. So I'm going to get into Proverbs 31 and we're going to go line by line and we're going to just talk about what it means and how we can apply what we see in this verse to where we are today. So, what I like about this is that this woman used to seem like unattainable for me until I started reading it more recently as I've matured personally and spiritually. And so now I'm like, oh, we can be this woman. Like this woman used to seem like, who is this woman? Like literally, like who is this woman? Who can one find? And that's what this is saying. Like this woman is so special. And acknowledging that women are powerful. Women are powerful and we have influence. And so it even acknowledges that like many women do noble things. Like it's a lot of dope women, but this particular Proverbs 31 woman surpasses them all. So in verse 10, it says, a wife of noble character, who can one find? So basically, yes, a Proverbs 31 is definitely an entrepreneur. That's what gets me so excited because all it talks about is how she, it's a lot in here, but it's a lot about how she's an entrepreneur. So it says her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. Why does her husband have full confidence in her? That's the first question. Like, when I read that, I'm like, well, why does her husband have full confidence in her? What has she done that her husband feels fully confident in her? And it doesn't say just that he has confidence in her, but it says full confidence. So if there's a spectrum of confidence, she is the whole spectrum. Like she's the whole 100%. If there's a pie, she has it all. Full means whole, okay? So that's the first thing. It's like, nah, she don't make him a little confident. She's the full confidence. And why is it, what about her makes him fully confident? And so then we go down and it says, she brings him good, not harm. Now, this is complete opposite of Delilah, who we learned about on Monday, because all Delilah did was bring Samson harm. But this woman brings him good, not harm. Like she brings him good, which a lot of times we hear, it's a meme that runs around and says, be his peace. If she's bringing him good and not harm, then this woman is his peace. And so it says, in all the days of her life, which means that she's not sometimes good. She's always good to him. She always brings him peace. She never has harm. Even when she's mad at him, she doesn't bring him any harm. She's always, because it says all the days of her life, she's good to him. So that's a little bit different because it's like, even on the days where she might not want to be bothered, even on the days where she's annoyed with him, even on the days where he may not be as good to her, it says that she always brings him good and not harm. So let that be, let that be a testimony, ladies. You don't get to decide on what days you're going to be good to him and bring his peace. It says this Proverbs 31 woman, which is what we are trying to attain to be, is that we are her all the time. So then it says she selects wool and flax and works with eager hands. So first thing we know about her outside of bringing good, we start to understand why he's confident in her. She works with eager hands. She's a worker. Okay, she's not afraid of being a worker. She's not a pillow princess, y'all. She actually puts in work. And it says eagerly. She puts in work with eager hands. So there's one thing to just work. It's a whole nother step to step up and work with eager hands. Meaning that to be eager means that you would volunteer yourself. So it says not only does she work, but she works with eager hands. there's an excitement. When someone is eager, there's an excitement to work. I don't know about y'all, but I don't always be excited to work. I don't always be, go to work with eager hands. Sometimes I go with begrudging hands. Sometimes I go with lazy hands. Sometimes I go with not wanting to be their hands. Sometimes I go there with attitude hands. Even as an entrepreneur, I still might not be eager. I like what I do, love what I do, but that don't mean I want to do it every day. But it says this woman goes to work with eager hands, which is like, oh, that's a whole another level. Like, it's one thing that she goes to work, but she's going to work with eager hands. So note it, like she's stepping it up, right? This is a step up from just going to work. And then it says she is like the merchant ships. She brings her food from afar. So, it says she brings merchant ships, means she goes out and finds. Merchant ships are people who are, they go and find merchants. They go find the best product to bring it into their city. What they're saying is that she's like a merchant ship in that she goes and finds food from afar, meaning she cares about her family so much that she doesn't just shop in her vicinity. She don't go to the grocery store just that's convenient to her. She goes to the grocery store that has the best product and that's going to give her the best nutrition and is going to provide the best meal plan and the most healthy substance to her family. Like, this woman is doing she's putting in a lot of work. She's not just giving you food because it's convenient. She ain't just stopping off at McDonald's. That's what we know. We know this woman is going to where she gotta go. So if she has to be up and go to the farmer's market, every Saturday so you guys can have fresh fruit and vegetables in your house, this is what this woman is doing. That's why she's like a merchant ship, because she's going to find the very best product for her family. She's not settling for what's close or convenient to her. It says that she literally is going to bring her food from afar. Okay, so now what do we learn about this woman is essentially she is, and I don't want to even use this word, but she's an overachiever. And we look down on overachievers. But what God is telling us in this Proverbs 31 is that this woman, the overachiever, surpasses them all. So some of us women thinking we're going to get by just doing the bare minimum. And then we wonder why we're not attracting, men who are kings, or why we're not getting the king out of our own man, because every man has a king and every man has a fool. And how you manage, relationships are also about management. How you respond in your relationship is a part of management. If you respond well, then you will receive well, right? So this woman going out of her way to not just work, but work with eager hands, not just go buy food, but buy the best food for her family, provide the best food for her family. That's so far two things that we know that she's doing that I can honestly say that as a woman, I have not always done. So I'm like, oh wow, she already better. Just in the, we're not even halfway, we're not even a third through what this woman does, and I'm already feeling challenged because I'm like, dang, she doing all of that? Like, okay, so then it says she gets up while it is still night. I used to struggle so much with getting up, right? I used to, oh my gosh, y'all. Who want to wake up at 5:30 in the morning? Not me. And that's what I was telling God for about a good, probably all my life. But I will say, since I made my transformation, I struggle with it since my son has been born. And then for about a good 6 to 7 months, literally, I was like, I cannot get up early. This is not what I want to do. But this woman, it says that she gets up while it is still night, which means that she gets up when it's dark outside. And I'm like, and what does she do? It says she provides food for her family and portions for her female servants. So here we are, and she provides food for her family and portions for her female servants. So she gets up and she meal preps, right? That's what she get up early to do. Like, she gets up early and she provides food for her family, which means that if he gets up early because he got to go to work, she gets up even earlier than him to make sure that he has a meal to take to work. She's definitely a go-getter. Like, she's definitely not lazy. Because now we know not only is she working with eager hands, not only is she bringing food from afar, like not being lazy about going to the store, but she is also getting up at night. So I'm like, dang, she getting up at night. She getting up at night. She going to the store that's not convenient to her to get the best product. And she's also working with eager hands. Okay, so what else is she doing? And so I was like, I'm in the sidebar, I put that she feeds her family. She gets up while it's still night. She provides food for her family. We read that part. 16, we're in verse 16. She considers a field and she buys it. So this woman makes decisions, and this woman purchases real estate, okay? All while working with eager hands, I'm just reading y'all what this woman does. Now, is every woman going to be a Proverbs 31 woman? Absolutely not, because it tells us many women, in the end, it tells us many women do noble things, but you surpass them all. This tells us about how to be the woman that surpasses them all. You may be reading this and be like, I don't want to be the woman to surpass them all, right? Because you may be like, this too much. But I think we should all take at least something away from this about how we can improve our daily habits to be more like this woman. Because if she surpasses them all, do we not want to strive for excellence? Like, if this is the excellence example of being a woman, then do we not want to strive for that? I personally feel like we should. Like, we should do maybe not everything on this list, but we should do as much things as we can on this list. And it may just start with getting up early and making sure that you are used to getting up early. If you don't have a husband, and if you do have a husband, then let's say you just start getting up before him, so that you can start preparing meals, right? Like, that seems reasonable to me. So then it says, so then it's like she considers a field and she buys it. So this woman makes decisions, which encourages me because, you know, we read about in 1 Timothy, and it was like the weaker partner. And I was like, I don't like that word, weak. But we also have in Proverbs 31 what an example of the woman is. And it's not that you don't make decisions. A lot of times people think because you are submitted, you can't make decisions. And that's not the case. Submission means that I trust you. It means I trust you. I'm patient with you. It means that I believe that you have my best interest in heart, right? And so if you say that this is what we should do, then I consider that you always will have my best interest in heart. And so I'm going to do I trust you to make a decision on my behalf. But that doesn't mean that I can't make any decisions for myself. You get what I'm saying? Like, the two are not mutually exclusive. Like, I can be submitted in a relationship and trust that he makes decisions on my behalf, and trust that those decisions are made soundly and wisely, while simultaneously making decisions like considering a field and buying it. And it says out of her own earnings, meaning sister girl has her own money, right? It means like the reason she can make the decision of buying a field, of investing in real estate, because that's what it means. She's investing in real estate. The reason she can invest in real estate is because she has her own earnings. She doesn't get a stipend. She doesn't get, she has her own earnings. Because why? She works eagerly with her hands. So because she works eagerly with her hands, she has her own money. So when she sees an opportunity, a real estate opportunity, when she sees a nice piece of property, she's able to purchase that property for herself because she has her own money. Like, okay, cool. Like, you make your decisions, girl, because you have your own. And you don't have to consult him when you've already worked eagerly with your hands and you have your own money. No wonder he's feeling confident. No wonder he has full confidence in her. This girl not only is working, but she's working eagerly. And now we learn that she's able to assess and invest in property with her own money. No wonder he has full confidence in her. Basically, the full confidence comes from the fact that she can take care of herself. She got this handled. Then it says in verse 17, she sets about her work vigorously. Her arms are strong for her task. So it's like, okay, it says that she sets about her work vigorously, meaning she's intentional about her work. Meaning baby girl is intentional, okay? She set about her work. Now we know, we already knew she was eager about her work, meaning that there was an excitement. But to say that she sets about her work vigorously indicates that there's an intentionality behind how she works. So now we know that she's a hard worker and she's intentional in her work. Okay? And so I'm going to write intentional down, because that's what, when it says she setting, right? We set intentions. The word set is an intention in and of itself. And so we know that she's intentional about working hard. She's intentional about working vigorously. And she ain't just being busy. She's not just working to work. She's working with the intention of gaining something. Let's see if she can figure out what she's trying to gain. Because it says her arms are strong for the task. Which I think about, I'm working out now. And it's like, I've worked out on and off, different times, seasons in my life. But for the most part, I've been off working out. But when I work out, one of the things I had said, even with my son, is like, I want to be able to carry my son. And as he grows older, I don't want to feel weak and unable. I don't want my arms to be so weak that I can't lift my son up for significant periods of time. And I'm small, I'm petite. So I have to be intentional about working out, because I want to be strong. I want strong arms for the task of picking up my son. And it's a difficult thing to kind of be a single mother and not be able to have a male be present and like help me pick my son up. Like even today, I was like, I can tell that I'm stronger because I got in the shower with my son and I was able to bathe him and bathe myself. And that was one of the big concerns that I have. So making your arms strong, like that includes for the task. It says her arms are strong for her task. That means you're intentional about building your strength up, because you don't just be strong. Your arms are not just strong from the task, except that you've been intentional about working out vigorously. You know what I'm saying? Like this is not just about like this. We're talking about how we can take what we're reading now and apply it every day. And so there's an intentionality behind my working out, because you are putting effort to make your arms strong, right? Like you're putting effort to be physically strong. And yes, there is an element to the mind, but this particular thing, the reason it brought up her arms is because this is talking about physical strength. And there's a point where when you're talking about physical strength in here, and when she's talking about mental strength, and when she's talking about the ability to work with money, and when she's talking about the ability, like there are several places, several, like I guess I like a line list items of things that she has for real. Now we're in verse 18. She sees her trading is profitable and her lamp does not go out at night. So she sees her trading means she knows she knows her gifts are valuable. It says she sees her trading is profitable. One, the idea that she is trading, meaning that she is doing something. Trading is her work, okay? Because she got a lot of different work that we'll find out that she does, but it says her trading is profitable. So now we know she's in real estate, but we also know in addition to being in real estate, because we also know in addition to now being in real estate, she has a trade. I don't know, but like for me, I have a trade, and my trade is as an attorney. Like I can do legal work. That's a trade. So this woman has a trade. A trade could be you went to nursing school. A trade could be anytime you go to school for a specific kind of work. That's a trade, right? You could be a trade as a carpenter for real, but anytime you go for a specialized work as a dental assistant, all of those things are trades. So this woman says that she sees her trade is profitable. So she sees that her trading is profitable, and so meaning it has value. So even when I don't use my law degree, what this tells me is that it's still of value, right? And it says, and her lamp does not go out at night. So I'm going to tell you my interpretation of this. This may not be your interpretation, but this is the revelation that I'm getting right now about this. It says she sees her trading is profitable and her lamp does not go out at night. This is not talking about a physical lamp. Okay, God, I hear you. This is a metaphor for the fact that because she has taken the time to develop this trade and she knows the value of her trade, it is always at her disposal, which means it never goes out. It never gets old. She already has it, right? So this is not, I don't know, like it could be physical, but I also think this is metaphorical in that like the lamp that this is talking about does not go out at night. It's saying that the value of her trade, the thing that she has, the gift, and it, not even a gift, because trading is really something that's taught to you. It's not necessarily a gift. Now it's going to talk about her gift later, but trading is something that's taught. It's a set of tools that you get taught so that you can actually render them to make money. So like lawyers, doctors, construction, like it could be construction worker, it could be a carpenter, it can be an art teacher, anything that you had to go and learn the craft. And then that's why it became valuable, because you went and learned that craft, you went and learned that trade. That's what I believe this is talking about, and that is why it's profitable to get whether it's like a degree in social work or a pharmacy degree, or or cosmetology license, because that also is a trade, right? That's not just a hustle. Once you become licensed, it becomes a trade because you've taken the time to be educated in that craft. And what this is saying is that she sees the value in that education. She sees the value in knowing that trade and knowing that craft. And so now the lamp never goes out on it, meaning she always has that trade. That always is a source of income for her. Does that make sense to y'all? That's how I'm reading it. Again, I think, the Bible is open. The Bible is a living word and it's open to interpretation. And that's the first time I got that from that. But I'm reading it and I'm like, okay, God, I can hear that. Because then it tells us, in her hand she holds the distaff and grasps the spindle with her fingers. So this tells us something else. So at first we have that trading is profitable and her lamp does not go out at night. We now find out that in her hand she holds the distaff and grasps the spindle with her fingers. So this is now talking about maybe what her trade is, right? Because maybe her trade is sewing. And I think that's what, I know that's the spindle, grasp the spindle with her fingers. I'm not sure about the distaff, but I could look it up. But again, I believe that right now what we're learning is that she has a trade, and how dedicated and vigorous she is at working her trade. It then says in verse 20, she opens her arms to the poor and extends her hand to the needy. So this girl is not selfish. She's giving. So in addition to all the things that she's doing, she's also giving. So because it says she opens her arms to the poor and she extends her hands to the needy. The word open and extends indicate abundance, indicate that she does it a lot. Okay, because they could have just said she gives to the poor. The choice of opens her arms means that all that she has, if she's opening her arms, right, the very act. So if you have anything in your arms, right, if you have anything in your arms and you open them, then everything that's in your arms is going to fall out, right? Which means that she's giving it all. It says she opens her arms to the needs. It means what she has, she makes available to anybody who's of need. Because the poor is the needy and the poor. So she's not just a giver. I think that's one of the things that I took away from her. She's not just a giver. She's an extreme giver. She's an excessive giver. If she's opening her arms, think about it. Open your arms. Like, it's intentional. The words here are intentional. She opens her arms to the poor. She extends her hand to the needy. When you extend your hand, it means, like, let's say this is your hand, okay, and you have something in your hand. Extending your hand means to give in abundance. So she's an extreme giver, which means she don't just, here go a little bit. It means that she's giving in abundance. Okay, we're going to move on. So then it says, 21, when it snows, she has no fear for her household, for all of them are clothed in scarlet. So what this tells us is, okay, when it snows, we're not talking about physical snow here. We're talking about when we go through a season, of the snow is like when we go through a season of drought, when we go through a cold season. Think about the snow. When we go through a cold season, right? When most people get a little anxious in a snowstorm, in a season of coldness and wilderness and drought. What this is telling us that she's not concerned. She's not worried. Money get a little funny. This is a season, baby. I'm not concerned and I'm not acting in fear over this season. And the very thing about the scarlet is expensive clothing. So they're saying even in the season of snow, where it may be a season where it's not plentiful. That's what we know about the snow. It says when it snows, she does not fear. What this basically tells me is like harvesting and planting. It's like, okay, harvest time is abundant time, but in the snow, in the winter, you don't got a lot to pull from it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to go off of what you've already invested and what you've already harvested. You got to live and eat off of what's already in your house. What this is telling me that she's prepared for the snow, and that's why she has no fear. Like, all the work she's done, she did it already. And so when she was working eagerly, the reason that now when the snow comes, she has no fear for her household is because she's already done the work. She already prepared for the snow. And that's why her husband has confidence in her, because he knows his wife is prepared. He knows this wife is prepared. He's confident because he doesn't have to worry, because he knows that she prepared by working hard for her family prior to the season of snow. So when the season of snow, she does not worry. And it says, for all of them are clothed in scarlet. Yes, that's what it says. She has stored away. She's invested. Yes. And it says because all of them are clothed in scarlet. Scarlet is an expensive fabric, which meaning she's so unbothered by the season of the snow, by the season of now, by the season of drought, by the season of wilderness, that she doesn't even look it. It is snowing. Everybody is looking rough. And she out here stomping the yard, okay? She's out here voguing. Her whole family is voguing because they tell us that she's dressed in scarlet. Meaning she's not hoboing, okay? Some of you, word, God, I love your word. Some of you are at home right now and you have a man and you have a family and you've been in this season of coronavirus. And you look like you've been in the season of coronavirus. And that's not very Proverbs 31 of you. Now, I don't have a husband, so. But I'm just giving y'all God's word. And some of y'all going to say, well, you don't have a man. Okay, that's fine. But I'm trying to tell you, you might not have one too much longer if you don't heed this advice. Because this woman is saying it's snowing. They're in a season of snowing. And her family is dressed in scarlet, meaning that she take the time to look good even in the desert season, even in the season of snow. Yes, this woman is the it woman. If we all took a little bit from this book, we would all be a little bit better off in our relationships, okay? He is on the way. I really believe in my heart that I probably already met him. It's so much to learn from her. And that's why I said don't be overwhelmed. Just take one thing that you learned tonight. Just take one thing and implement it tomorrow. Implement it immediately. And then start to work on this. Because it can be overwhelming. Because this woman she is the bomb ditty. Okay? She is bomb.com. She is all that and a bag of chips. Y'all remember we used to say that? Okay. But that's what it is. And that's what basically 29 said. If I rewrite the Bible, it says 29, I'm going to say, many women are dope. But this woman is all that and a bag of chips. That's what verse 29 says. I mean, yes, women are dope. Many of y'all are dope as women, but this woman is all of that plus some. And so we have that. And so we learn in verse 22, she makes coverings for her bed. She is clothed in fine linen and purple. Okay, she makes coverings for her bed. I heard, this is how I got convicted about Proverbs 31. So one day I'm leaving out of my house, and this is when I was working on a contract. So back in like February, and I have a habit of not really making my bed. And I know some of y'all can be like, I make my bed every day. Okay, cool. You make your bed every day. I did not. And so, literally I was like, okay, well, and so as I was walking out, God was like, make your bed. And I'm like, make my bed. And I literally did that, like, make my bed. And I heard God was like, make your bed. And he specifically said, you want to manifest your husband, you need to start making your bed. And I said, okay, God. And I did it. I made my bed. I got in the car and I started listening to this message by my favorite, Dr. Miles Monroe. And I listened to him all the time. So at this point, that's not weird for me to listen to Dr. Miles Monroe. But what was weird was this. I'm driving. He's talking about the Proverbs 31 woman. And he says, some of you, this woman makes her sheets, because it tells us that she makes her covering. Makes her coverings means she makes her own sheets, which is wow. I have a friend who just was showing me all in her house, and she done made pillows, and she done made sheets, and she done made drapes for her house. I said, you a real Proverbs 31 woman. But Dr. Miles Monroe pointed out, he said, some of y'all, he was like, don't even make your own sheets. And he was like, but y'all don't even make the beds that have been provided for you. Like, your man has given you all and paid for all of the sheets, or bought all the, like, you have all the furnishings to make the bed. You have pillows, you have drapes, you have sheets, you have, you have all this beautiful thing to make the bed, and you're still not taking the time to make the bed. But we want to be, Proverbs 31 women, or we want to have like this bomb man come into our lives, but we are not even willing to make our own bed. And yet this Proverbs 31 says she makes coverings for her bed. Now I would say, that you can go out there and sew, because this woman clearly can sew, which we're going to learn, because it's like she makes linen garments and she sells them because she's just so dope. But I haven't learned to sew, so I'm not going to be on here trying to act like I know how to sew. I don't know how to sew, but I know how to I can make the bed that I have. I can make the bed, and I can be intentional about making sure that I make that bed every day in an effort to be more like a Proverbs 31 woman. So when I tell you that you can just start with one thing and begin to implement it, then I'm telling you from something that I actually implemented in my own life. This is this is where I started being a Proverbs 31 woman. I still got a ways to go. Okay, so I ain't telling y'all I'm there. But making my bed was one of the things that God was like, if you you better make your bed. So I make my bed every day. Every single day I make my bed. And now it's habit, but I was not making my bed prior to. And so now seeing, like, when I saw that, I was like, oh wow, like, I got it. So I'm telling you too, like, be intentional. One thing's definitely one of the best. Okay, that's my mentor right there. I have learned so much from Dr. Miles Monroe. If you want to really get to a place of transformation, and you want to be wise, and you want to just go to YouTube and look up Dr. Miles Monroe and get your life. Okay. So again, I'll say, so I'm now on verse 20. It says she's clothed in fine linen and purple, and we're just going to reiterate that, like, this woman dresses even in her house. So the very idea of like a Stepford wife, like dressing up in your house, this woman does that. Fine linen and purple. Fine linen, as if that wasn't good enough, and now it has to be the color of purple, which indicates a level of status, royalty. This woman is dressing like a queen. She's a queen in her own castle. And so, definitely take note of that. Like, if you bumming it, you might not want to bum it. And that's why sometimes I just dress up in my house and move around, because I'm like, well, I want to be a queen in my council, and I want my husband who, to recognize me as such. And so I'm going to be prancing around in fine linen and purple, so you know what's up. And then it says in verse 23, her husband is respected at the city gate. So again, I just talked about what kind of man you're going to attract if you're this kind of woman. And that's what this indicates. Like, if you are dressing in fine linen and purple, if you are making coverings for your bed, if you are considering fields and investing in real estate, if you are intentionally working and working eagerly, if you are sewing, if you are this kind of woman, then you're going to have a man who is going to be respected at the city gate. You're going to have a man who's in a position of power outside of his house. Why? Because you can't be this kind of woman and attract a bum. It just doesn't happen. I mean, you can attract him. Actually, you can attract him. But you should be attracting something a caliber of man that is much higher. You should be attracting a man who is respected outside the city gates. Because if you're doing all of this and he a bum, then baby girl, you tripping. But seriously, this talks about the kind of man that you get if you are this kind of woman. Are y'all with me? Y'all following? Okay, so it says, where he takes his seat amongst the elder of the land. Like, we know he's an elder. He is somebody respected. He is in a position of power. Why? Because that's the kind of man that she's going to attract, because of all the work and all that she has put in and the intentionality behind who she is as a woman. And so then it says in verse 24, she makes linen garments and sells them. So far we have found that she's in real estate. Okay, that was one stream of income. We then found that she has a second stream of income because she has a trade. And now we find out that she makes linen garments and sells them. So she's an entrepreneur. So she uses her gift and her talent. Okay. She uses that. And this is a gift that she shares with her family. So it's interesting because we know that she makes coverings for her bed, and we know that she makes their clothes. Like, we have an indication of that. But now we learn that she makes linen garments and sells them. So she expands her gift beyond just her family. Oh, that's good, God. Wow. Okay, I hear God speaking. So what she's already doing at home, she now expands it to do it for others. The fact that other people are buying her garments tells me that other women are not Proverbs 31 women, because why would you buy her fine linens and garments if you could sew your own? But the truth of the matter, because this woman surpasses them all, then even some of the dope women know that they can't make fine linen garments. So they have to go to her. And she makes them fine linen garments. Some of y'all can cook. Some of y'all can clean up. Y'all, you cook for your family, but you have not yet went into the realm, God, I love your word, of cooking for others. But you should. Because if it's a Proverbs 31 woman, it means that you extend your gift beyond just what you do for your family. Some of y'all can clean up like no other. Extend that gift. Some of y'all sewing for your family, but you don't sew for others. Some of you can make wigs, and you make wigs for yourself, or you do nails for yourself, but you haven't extended it. You take photos of your family, but you haven't extended it. Okay? So I'm just saying, extend